from Tribe to Village. This is our tribe, our village, our family. And today we're joined by Evauna. Hi, Evauna.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
Great. And today we're talking about the girls, the tatas. We're talking about our experience with having a breast reduction.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
I know. Quite the journey, right?
Quite the journey. Long journey.
Yeah.
But worth it. Worth it.
Worth. Yeah. Evauna, explain to them how we got here. How did our path cross the breast reduction road?
Oh my goodness. So I just remember like a few years ago, well, that was one thing we always had in common growing up, was just being like having very large breasts. Like even when we were just younger, they were big, like trying to find bathing suits to fit. Like at the time when we were like teens going into young adulthood, the biggest stressor was I can't find bras. I can't find bathing suits. It was a lot, you know, being a curvy woman and putting on certain things. It would almost, you know, make you, it would showcase the girls a lot more than you wanted.
Yeah. Sometimes not by choice.
Not by choice. And it attracted a lot of negative attention too, but you can't help it. You can't help it. So I know for me,
in a t-shirt and it still looks like boom.
Boom. Yeah. And then if you just wear anything somewhat fitted, you're done for. So I know for me, like being younger, that was like a main concern, just feeling like I couldn't wear what I wanted to wear all the time, having to spend a lot of money on bras and bathing
suits. My goodness. Like my friends would be like, oh yeah, I got this for like $20, this new bra.
Yeah.
$20.
Yeah. Like where'd you get that from?
The least was like $70. Like, and that's like the least.
That was like the bare minimum, like the lowest cost, and it only got more expensive.
Yeah. And not as cute either.
Now they're a lot better. You can get really cute bras that are for larger women and that are not.
Yeah.
Now they're considered typical sizes. Like you can buy a K cup, a J cup in like a Nordstrom, but before you'd have to go to a private owned lingerie shop.
Yep, and pay triple the amount.
Yeah, so that was a lot. And I just feel like, I know for me over the years, like playing sports, going through adulthood, having other injuries, like my back started to hurt. Like back
neck and back is just, you know, that song, my neck,
everything, the tension headaches, just everything. And it became a nuisance. So not only was it expensive, uncomfortable, it was just very painful too. So
it was very uncomfortable. And I don't know if you had to do this, Evauna, like you couldn't even wear just one bra. Like if I was going running or do any type playing sports, any type of physical exercise, I had to wear two because one just wasn't enough support.
Yeah.
And like that's really uncomfortable to wear two bras. And then if you're running without it, the things are like, you know, smacking you in the face
everywhere. Even
and the weight. Like imagine like having two melons jumping up and down and all that pressure on your back, and not only the pressure on your neck and your spine, but then it also affects your posture. And I, you know, because I've had such large breasts for most of my life, like I was my posture is a little bit slumped like that, you know, because of all the weight that's pulling you down in front.
Yep.
And I didn't even know like it was a possibility to like to shrink it and to help that, to relieve some of that.
Exactly. And you know, there's so many things, even sleeping. It was uncomfortable. Like I'd wake up with like scratches and I called them battle wounds, because I'm like, where'd this scratch come from? And I'm trying to sleep on my stomach, uncomfortable, trying to sleep on my side, trying to move them out the way. And I'd have scratches. And I was like, this is too much. And I know it was hard for me too, when I finally got to the point where I was like, okay, I have to do this. Being a, you know, young adult, I guess kind of young adult, it's 30s.
Yes, we're young adults. We are young and we are adults.
Yeah. I was like,
we'll be fabulous even when we're old.
right? Listen, always
I didn't
fabulous.
want to be in this adult life, but here we are. So,
girl, here we
adulthood
are.
is ghetto, but that's another
Being forced to adult. But so I know I was nervous because being single and young, and I was like worried about the scars and all these other things, and that kind of prohibited me for a while. We had spoken, and I know you said that you had gotten a referral from our shared doctor, and we were talking, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make an appointment too, and that's how it happened. But at that point, I was just literally in so much pain. I was like, I don't care what they look like. Like, I need them gone.
They're big, but like, I don't think people like understand that it's like carrying a child that's attached to you.
Yep. A lot of people don't understand that. Like, do they look great? Yes, they look fantabulous, but they are just not comfortable. And you get to the point where like your body just cannot take it anymore.
Yeah, and my doctor was like, well, you do have what was I diagnosed with? Breast hypertrophy.
Yeah, and mine was pendulous breast.
How rude.
And we had the same doctor, so I'm like, how did you get hypertrophy, however you say it, of the breast? And mine was pendulous. I was like, they weren't even pendulous.
You think of like it just swinging.
I mean, they were still firm, okay? With pendulous breasts, like they're just hanging and dangling. Like, what? Yeah, I remember we had that conversation. I was like, yeah, mine was pendulous, and I'm very offended by that. But whatever, it got the job done. It got the referral.
Yes. And we did what we had to do.
So we had to do.
Not regret it.
No, I do not regret it at all. It is single-handedly the best thing I have ever done for myself physically. And unfortunately, during the time of the reduction, there was some other things going on, grieving, and, still us living in a pandemic, life. So at the time that I got the surgery, I also gained weight. So I am currently working on dropping that weight because I am curious to see what my actual size is. And that was another thing we actually spoke about. Everyone's breasts are so different, and your density, if it's fat, if it's more tissue, because we had the same surgeon, and I remember you telling me you were able to choose what size you wanted to go down to
within limits. He did tell me I wanted to go really, really small. And for those who know, it's like the girls are still big.
They're still big,
but they're not massive.
Right.
Okay, they're not massive, and it's a huge improvement. I went down probably 2 or 3 cup sizes, which is huge. Like I could actually buy, bras from regular stores like Victoria's Secret. Before I couldn't even fit in those.
Right.
Like even their larger size. So I remember the surgeon, I told him like how small I wanted to go, and he was like, first he was like, I don't think that's a good idea. And he was like, we do still need to retain some tissue there, blood supply, blah, blah, blah. And then also looking at the way your body is structured, what would look good and what would not look good on you.
Right.
So, he was not trying to take me from a Z cup to an A cup.
No, absolutely not. He was like, you're not walking out of here looking a hot mess.
Exactly. And he was like, also like the way that you want it to be shaped and stuff like that, you have to have enough tissue for it to look decent, which I appreciate that, because we're just like, we're coming in there with our backs like, oh my gosh.
Take it off.
Take it off. I need my back, I need my neck to feel good. Just take it off. And they're like, there's just so much more than that you have to consider.
Right.
So I guess they look at each person individually and then work with you to see what the most appropriate size would be.
Exactly. And my conversation with them, they were kind of like, well, we won't be able to tell until we're in there because of the density of my breast. and just the shape and size. So he was just like, we're not even talking about sizes. We're going to do what looks appropriate for your body while we're actually in there. And it's interesting because I had a couple of other people that I referred to that same surgeon, and they got it done. And, you know, their experience was very different. They were actually able to pinpoint, like say, okay, you know what? I like this size. This is the size I want to go. And he was like, you know what? Yes, we can make that work. And it's awesome for that person. So, you know, when you go into it, you just have to go in with like an open mind and just know, okay, again, the primary reason for doing it is not just cosmetic. It's not just for like cosmetic reasons, but because it's a medical reason. So whatever they need to do, they're going to do. But I really, really appreciated the team that we both worked with, because they made you feel like you were about to be the hottest, like most bomb girl in the world, woman in the world. And they made you feel so good about making this choice. And they were so supportive. And that really helped with my overall experience and wanting to do it, and just seeing how much they cared about making sure that you still looked good. You know, you still, you know, like you said, your shape, everything was still proportionate.
And also make sure you let them know if you plan on having children, or you might breastfeed in the future, because that affects the way like they make the incisions and what they take out and from where. So that's very important to know. A good surgeon will ask you, you know, they're like, oh, do you consider breastfeeding? Like they will ask you, but in case you come across one who doesn't, and you know you want to have children breastfeed, just let them know so that they could preserve, you know, your ducts.
The milk ducts. And that, you know, and to that point, I remember them asking me, because, you know, I don't have any children. They wanted to know, you know, do you plan to have children in the future? And also went through the risks with me as well, saying, okay, we're going to do our best to preserve. You know, we'll do the anchor shape with the lollipop or whatever it is. And just knowing that, you know, okay, most of the time, women will still be able to breastfeed, but there is a chance that you may not, because it depends on how your body heals. So they were very like, what's the word? Transparent and very, like detailed. And that like alleviated a lot of worry. And I was also worried about the scars. So I was asking them like, what does that look like? Like
yes, especially like if you have like such large breasts, and the anchor is like a lollipop, a scar around your nipple, and then it goes down to the base of your breast, and then it goes the entire width of your breast. Oh, you know, for someone who's never had a scar there, and you know that the scar is going to be left behind, it could be a little jarring.
Exactly. But like you said, if you have a good surgeon, then you will be fine. I know I was very happy with how mine healed. I did have some complications, unfortunately, but that was on
complications. What kind of complications? Let's talk about it.
So after I had my surgery, I went back into the school building maybe like 3 weeks afterwards, which you can go to work. But if you
have an assistant principal.
Right. But at the time going back after months of not being in school, there was furniture everywhere. The entire building was in disarray. So
don't tell me you lifted.
I lifted. I was lifting. I was walking around the building. I was sweating, going.
Things that they tell you not to do after the surgery.
Things that they tell you not to do.
Yeah, definitely listen to, follow that list.
Yes.
You know, post-surgery instruction, follow it to the T. Even if you think like, oh, I'm good, I'll be fine.
No.
Just follow what's on the list.
You have to follow it. Yeah, and because I was still so numb, I didn't notice that anything was wrong initially. So even though, I had the surgery August 2020, like maybe like August 4th or something. Went back to work like 3 weeks later. Again, it was and working with the population of students that I worked with at the time, it was labor intensive, so I wasn't able to just sit at my desk. Like, it was very hands-on. So I spent the following few months just being active, and then I would be exhausted when I got home because my body was still healing. So subsequently, early December, maybe like December 4th, exactly 4 months later, I was working from home at that point. We were quarantined, and I came down with the highest fever I've ever had. It was 104. I was convinced it was COVID because I'm like, well, what else can it be,
everyone would be.
It's COVID, it's COVID. I was so cold. I have never felt that bad in my life, even having the flu. So again, I was numb, so I couldn't feel anything, but there was some redness there, and I'm like, okay, I had surgery a few months ago, still healing. And I ended up, at that time, I think there was like a high spike, like increase in COVID cases. So it was almost impossible to get to an urgent care or anything, but
you couldn't just rush out and then be seen.
But and the other part too was I was by myself. I was dizzy. I had a high fever, but luckily I was able to find an urgent care, and there was a nurse in there, and I finally got in, and we're just talking, and I'm like, she said something about like keeping your skin moisturized, and I was like, yeah, I've been using a lot of cocoa butter. I just had a breast reduction. I was like, they came out really great. I was like, you want to see? She was like, girl, I don't want to see that. And then she was like, well, we actually need to do an EKG. So I had to unzip the front of the bra, and she was like, well, what is that? I was like, I told you I had surgery. And she's like, no, like your skin doesn't look right. And so she had the doctor come in, and she's like, it looks like cellulitis.
Look right? What did your skin look like?
It was beaming bright red. It looked like a rash.
Was it hot when you touched it?
It was hot, but again, I could not feel a lot of it until it started to spread down to my belly. And
it was spreading.
It was spreading. So cellulitis, which I was like, just give me some coconut oil and send me home. I'm not going to no hospital. There's COVID. And they were like, no.
You said, give me some coconut oil?
Yes, give me some coconut oil, send me home. Coconut oil fixes everything.
Disclaimer, tea, coconut oil does not fix everything.
It does not. So long story short, the doctor was like, ma'am, this does not look good. I believe it's cellulitis, which is a skin infection that if it goes untreated, eventually will start to attack your organs and all your other systems. So that's what was happening. The infection was now inside my body internally, and that's what was causing the high fever. I ended up in the hospital for 4 to 5 days.
That infection could have led to death, no?
Yep, 100%. So do not take that lightly. If a doctor says you have cellulitis, please, please, please take it seriously.
Also inspect your wounds, your surgical site, inspect it all the time.
Inspect it and keep it clean. And that's why I mentioned before, I was running around, I was sweating, I'm lifting things. And again, it was numb. So even still washing, sometimes there would be scabs that were still healing. And it was literally one little area, I remember, that took a while to heal. And I was like, it's fine. And that's where it started. But it must have been there a while because it infected my right breast first, spread to my left, and then it went all the way down to my belly.
Yeah. And Evauna, I know you said to keep it clean, but I just want to clarify so no one is confused. Evauna was taking her showers and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's all the sweating that was going on under there from doing too much.
From doing too much.
Where the bacteria came from.
Exactly. So as soon as I got home, I would shower, I would clean. But again, the key is if you are going back to work, please, please, please make sure you do not have to do too much physically.
Yeah.
Because when you're running around for 8 hours, and by the time you get home, you wash, still there's so much time where things can get infected. And so I learned my lesson. So please follow those rules. And if you feel like you have a job but you do have to be even somewhat active. Take the time that you need.
Yeah, because you need to take care of you. And then if, like, we're so happy, Vonna, that you got help in time.
Yes.
If things go left, you're not taking care of yourself and things go left, the job will replace you in a hot second.
Quick.
Quick. We need you around. We need you. Your family members, your loved ones need you. So definitely follow. And you got the surgery with anticipation of, enjoying whatever pain relief or whatever it comes with it. So definitely it's worth following the instructions. Yes. And I remember I didn't follow the instructions.
I was about to ask you, how was your experience?
But I was acting up earlier in the recovery. Earlier in the recovery journey. I know yours happened a couple months after, right?
Yeah.
Mine happened. So this is the thing. Also be mindful, like if you have children or you have something going on that you must be active soon after surgery, you can't. You need help.
Yes, you need help. Yep.
Because of where the surgery is, there's a lot of things that you won't be able to do afterwards. So I recommend, like, you have your pain meds, all the medication that you need to take during the day, and like some whatever you hydrate with and some healthy snacks, keep that all next to you, like within an arm's reach, because you can't even extend your arm too far. So
you
put it
like, even wash initially those first 2-3 weeks. You can help.
No, listen to us seriously. Someone will have to help you take a shower. Someone will have to help you use the bathroom in all aspects. Yep. So if you're a shy person or you don't have anyone to help you in that aspect, you need to reconsider, because you will need help, like maximum.
Yes. You have to be very comfortable, because like you said, initially you will need help in the shower because the skin is so tight from them, stitching everything back together. It is hard to reach around and wipe. It's hard to bend, even anything that requires any movement.
Getting off the bed, it's rough.
Yeah, if you have any animals, like I don't have any kids, but I have a 75-pound dog. So even walking him, and he's very hyper. So him pulling and things like that, I needed help for a few weeks.
Yeah, and you're not even supposed to lift anything that was over. I don't even remember the weight.
Initially it was 5 pounds.
5 pounds? Yeah, anything over 5 pounds. And I have 2 kids, and I remember one could easily climb in and out of his crib, but the other one, I remember, I don't even know what happened. Like, it was just this one time, maybe, okay, the kids sleep through the night normally, right? And then my husband will work the night shift. So by the time he comes back, like, he could get them out and stuff like that. So this time he woke up in the middle of the night, crying. What am I supposed to do? Doctor said, don't lift anything more than 5 pounds, right? But I'm like, I'm feeling a little bit better. I recently had surgery, but it's not like the day after. It's not like the week after. It's probably like 2 or 3 weeks, right?
Right.
And all right, let me just lift him up really quick, really quick. I'm gonna just lift him up. And Vonna, when I lifted him, I heard something go pop. And I was like, what? God. And I ran to the bathroom, and every time I took off the gauze, because you would have to keep the gauze in the surgery site, and it would just like spew out blood. Yeah. And I remember calling the doctor, the helpline, and I'm like, I'm dying.
Yeah, it's scary.
And I had to wait for them to contact the surgeon. And then they called me back and they're like, what happened? And I explained, and they're like, just relax. You're not dying. This is what happens when you lift above the recommended weight that we tell you to stay away from. And then I was just like, but I don't care what they were saying. I was like, I'm dying. I've never seen that much blood just leak constantly from my body. And it's just so scary when you're not used to it.
Yeah.
It was like literally the gauze was like a plug. And every time I took it away, it was just blood that was coming down. Wow. So, and that was because I lifted above the 5 pounds.
Yes. Yeah.
And then because of that made the healing a lot slower. It took longer, and it was just like, mentally it was a lot to handle. So
yeah,
the instructions.
follow the instructions to a T. And the crazy part about it is listening to you. I remember telling a few people, you actually do start to feel pretty good after a couple of weeks. The first few days is rough, just like any surgery, but after a couple of weeks, the skin starts to loosen, you're able to move a little bit more. So you feel like you can do a lot more.
Especially if you're used to being an independent person, doing things yourself.
Yeah. So
You'll get in there.
yeah, all those weeks and months that I spent moving around, like I felt fatigued because I knew my body was still healing, but I wasn't really in like a ton of pain.
Yeah.
But because I was doing so much, again, it's very rare that you're going to get an infection 4 months after the fact, right? But again, I'm like, I'm busy. I'm like, we have things to do. Like
and you're still healing. Your body is like
healing.
I'm still recovering. You sliced me open and took a chunk of me out and sewed me back up.
Yeah, but like you said, yours was more immediate in that moment, feeling like, hey, I can do this. I feel okay. And then you paid the price for it. For me, it was more long-term over time. And I ended up paying a price for it later on, so who knows how long I had that infection in my body, but obviously it got to a point where if I had 104 fever, it was pretty bad. So
listen to your body, listen to your doctor, and listen to your body.
Listen to your doctor, listen to your body. You have to put you first. If you have a desk job, great. But if you are a mom, or if you are a guardian of some sort or a caretaker of some sort where you have to physically take care of children or animals,
or if you're just super independent and feel like you're just used to doing things on your own, or just used to crossing a lot of things off your list, or just a busy body, you gotta slow down.
You have to slow down. And I always said, I was like, oh, because I had spinal fusion surgery, the year prior. I was like, nothing can be worse than that. The breast reduction was definitely harder than getting my neck cut open, them fusing my spine. And because again, I did too much.
I can't speak on the spinal fusion part of it, but yes, this was a hard surgery to recover from. I would say that, would I do another surgery, another breast reduction? Absolutely not. I don't want to go through that recovery again. Like, that was just so rough. But if I didn't have the surgery and I went back in time, right, and knowing what the recovery would entail, would I do it? Absolutely.
Absolutely. It is 100% worth it. Again, follow the rules, follow everything they tell you to do. Like you said, it's hard, but I promise it's worth it. It is worth it. Even now, like, I would definitely be a lot smaller. But with the weight gain, I still, even though I'm still large, still much smaller than what I was. I can buy a sports bra from Fabletics or Amazon and put it on and like be secured.
Running and feel fine.
Yeah, doing housework, right?
Yeah.
Like just sleeping. So much of it, buying clothes. Like before, I would never be able to wear a shirt like this. Like, I think I got this from Amazon. Like, but it would be pulling and it'd be down, and there'd be so much cleavage out, and
I have the 4 boobs with certain bras.
Or that pregnant look because the fabric was sticking out so much from the breast. And then like
I would say that I do look a slightly more pregnant after the reduction.
Well, right now I definitely do, because this belly right now is quite jiggly. So that is one thing, though, I did notice. I was like, oh girl, at least when your breasts are larger and you are a little overweight in the midsection, it does hide it, because you're like, boom. Okay, but yes, that is a good point.
Taking away the pain and giving us comfort is definitely worth it. And so anyone who's considered, I say that I wouldn't do another one because like I said, it already I got it because of the pain. Went to physical therapy, that didn't help. Neck and back pain, got it. They took away enough that it makes it feel decent now. So I'm never gonna be as large as I was before. If anything, I did have a third baby, so they did, enlarge and then, but my major reason was not for like a lift or anything. My reason was for pain. So it's not worth it for me to go through that again just for a lift. But if I had to start over, then definitely.
100%. 100%. I remember after the fact being like, oh, I'm gonna be a nice perky B or C cup. And I was like kind of disappointed that I wasn't, because I
remember that. You was
like, what is it? I was like, they're smaller for sure, but after I started to heal and I felt the difference in my neck and my back, I was like, oh, this was so worth it. Like, so grateful that I did it. So grateful that I had a good medical team. And I don't know for you if they were able to tell you how many pounds they took off, but I know for me, they took off 5 pounds in total.
Yeah. They took off around that for me too.
That's a lot. Imagine tying a 5-pound dumbbell or kettlebell to your neck and walking around with that constantly. It's a lot.
Yeah, it really is a lot. And I'm just so thankful. So if you're thinking about it, if you're thinking about a reduction because you have pain, or even if you want a reduction for just like your own general comfort or aesthetic, then do it. Definitely you won't regret it. Make sure you have someone to help you with the recovery and that you follow the instructions to the T. And you'll be fine. And don't worry about what anyone is saying. I had a lot of people, Vaughn, and I don't know if you had this too. Not a lot. Some people would be like, girl, people pay for what you have. Yeah, I'm sure they pay for the look, but they don't pay for the pain and discomfort. No, they definitely don't pay for that. And it doesn't even matter. You can't please everyone. So don't worry about the opinions of others. If that's what you want to do, go for it.
Exactly. And I would have a lot of people say, oh, you don't even look that big, but that's because I intentionally wore clothing, especially at work, where it would kind of, a little bit bigger, a little bit more flowy, so that I didn't draw attention to myself. So I would get a lot of people that's like, oh, you don't need it. And I'm like, listen, you don't know what they look like underneath the $80-$90 bra and the flowy dress, right? And once I got it, then I people were like, oh, I do notice a difference. I'm like, yeah, so don't listen to anyone. Your comfort matters. Even if it is for cosmetic reasons, what? You have
your prerogative.
It is 100% worth it. If you find a great surgeon, then go with them, really fill them out. I would 100% do it again. Like you said, if I didn't have it and I needed to do it, I would 100% do it. And like I said, after I had mine, you had yours, I had mine right after. Like 2 or 3 other people that I spoke to on a daily basis actually ended up getting it too. And, I was so happy that I was able to be an example for them. Because
a success story. A success story.
Exactly. Because it is a lot on your mind, right? You are worried about the aftermath of it, right? Like, how are you going to look? How are you going to feel?
I don't know if you remember, you were calling me and you were like, how did it go? How are you feeling? Should I still go through it? I was like, I was high off my payments. I was like, yeah, do it. It's worth it.
Yes. Yes. I was like, wait, I need to know somebody that actually did it. Because, you read online, you read blogs, you see YouTube videos, right? But knowing that more and more women are doing it, and, And I thank you for allowing me to come and speak on your platform as well, because there isn't a lot of representation out there, right? Where people are just raw and honest with the experience.
Yes.
So, it's knowledge is power. Knowledge is
power. And also make sure that because like you said, there are cosmetic benefits to it, but because of the pain that comes with pendulous breasts or large breasts, your insurance might cover it. So for us, this is not like, a lot of the other cosmetic surgeries where insurance is like, nah, we don't cover that. That's solely cosmetic. This is actually a health issue. If you can prove that it impacts your health in a negative way, then your insurance will cover it. Like I had a history of going to physical therapy for back pain. It's been recorded in my medical history that I suffer from neck and back pain, and that was correlated to my enlarged breast. So insurance covered that. So definitely check with your insurance to see if that's something that you could cover as well.
Yes. And having that conversation and, with whether it's your primary or your GYN initially, or going straight to the surgeon, but most of the time they will require that you have some sort of treatment beforehand, right? So I know I had done physical therapy, and then I had gotten some trigger point injections in my back as well at some point. But after my neck surgery, I mean, at that point, I was like, it's too weak. They were like, okay. So I know for me, I was actually approved like within 2 weeks, and I was so thankful for that. And it went smoothly, actually. The whole process was pretty smooth, right?
Pretty seamless. And I think it was good that we had each other too. So we like you said, representation matters, and also hearing and seeing someone else who's been through it makes a huge difference.
So so girlies, if you're thinking about doing it, 100% go for it. Do it. I promise it's worth it. You will not regret a thing. Just follow the directions.
To the T.
To the T, because it's not a game.
Yes. Thank you so much, Juana, for sharing with us and, and making it comfortable for the both of us to share our breast reduction story. And thank you guys for listening. And if you know someone who could benefit from hearing this, please share it with them. And if you could benefit from it, just, leave a comment. Don't forget to like, comment, share. Check out our website, www.tritovillage.com. And let's continue to elevate and grow together.
And don't forget to subscribe too.
Subscribe, click it. Until next time.